Welcome everyone to our third day of the Spark Writing Festival. So tonight we have with us Lauren Goodwin Slaughter. So she is author of the poetry collection A Lesson in Smallness, so this one, which was a finalist for the Rousseau Prize for Literature and the Eric Hoffer Award in Poetry, and Spectacle, forthcoming from Panhandler Books and the University Press of Florida. She is a recipient of a Rona Jaffe Foundation Writers Award and a Walter E. Dakin Fellowship from the Sewanee Writers Conference. Her poems, essays, and short stories appear or are forthcoming in Harvard Review, Image, North American Review, Tupelo Quarterly, Pleiades, 32 Poems, Kenyon Review Online, and Canary, among many other places. She is an associate professor of English at the University of Alabama at Birmingham, where she is also editor-in-chief of NELLE, a literary journal that publishes writing by women. And this is our most recent edition of NELLE. We're actually putting together our next issue right now. It's looking great and so fantastic. So all that being said, I'll turn it over to Lauren.
Okay, awesome. Haley, thank you so much for having me. Thanks all of you for taking a break from the news and the end of society as we know it in order to spend a little bit of time thinking about words. I wanted to do something that would just be, fun, and that anybody that it would be approachable for anyone, no matter where you are with your writing. So that's how I'm approaching the next 45 minutes or so. And I also hope that you are willing to do some writing. So what I wanted to do is lead you guys through what I think is going to be a fun writing exercise that I've called Creative Wrong Memory. And I'm going to start by reading a poem by Rita Dove. It's called Vacation. And there, I think that that Haley, you put a link up somewhere. I'm going to be referring to two poems. Poets.org has the Academy of American Poets has a great site. And we're going to be thinking about traveling. Many of us haven't done for a really long time, delving into memory. So this is a Rita Dove poem called Vacation. I love the hour before takeoff, that stretch of time, no home but the gray vinyl seats linked like unfolding paper dolls. Soon we shall be summoned to the gate. Soon enough, there'll be the clumsy procedure of row numbers and perforated stubs. But for now, I can look at these ragtag dear families with booing and bickering, or the trying to ignore a baby's wail and the baby's exhausted mother waiting to be called up early, while the athlete, one monstrous hand asleep on his duffel bag, listens, perched like a seal trained for the plunge. Even the lone executive who has wandered this far into summer with his late itinerary, briefcase knocking his knees, even he has the pleasure of bearing no more than a scrap of himself into this hall. He'll dine out, she'll sleep late, they'll let the sun burn them happy all morning, a little hope, a little whimsy, before the loudspeaker blurts, and we leap up to become Flight 828, now boarding at Gate 17. So I love so many images in that poem. The healed batch trying to ignore a baby's wail, and so many ways that the poem engages with sensory information. We're all familiar with the adage to write what we know. And this is both good and kind of shitty advice. The bad part of this advice is that if we take it like literally, it's extremely limiting. And to me, seems to potentially take empathy out of the equation when it comes to our writing. But if we think about what we know in a sensory way, all the things that we know and can write about what we know when it comes to sensory information, I think the world really opens up for us as writers. Another thing that we want to think about is how we approach a piece of writing. Sometimes we might say, I have a great idea for a poem. I have a great idea for a story. But it can be even more useful, I think, to say, I have a great image to start this poem, right? This poem comes to me because of an image, or I have a great image for this story. So the thinking in the writing that we're gonna do is, it all starts with the image, and anybody who's ever had a class with me is not surprised to hear me say that. So I thought that we could take a moment and think about a kind of trip that you have taken in your life. Something formative. This could be anything from a trip you took in your youth, a trip that you took to the library with your uncle where you first discovered books, right? Think about some sort of traveling, some sort of trip, and just maybe spend a minute just jotting down just a couple notes to start with. And this is what, pick something that you feel like you have something to write about, because that's what we're going to be spending the next bit of time on. So for our first stop, I'd just like you to write down 3 images associated with the preparation for this trip. Just remembering that we're looking for images, not ideas. So for example, if you're tempted to write, Dad was nervous for the trip, not really an image, but instead like Dad's jittery pacing, right? That conveys nervousness to us, but it's grounded in image, right? So again, just take a minute and write 3 images. Don't worry about it, don't think too hard, associated with the preparation for the trip. What would be super fun is if you want to just like type little bits here and there into the chat. It would just be kind of fun to see what some of us are coming up with. Okay, I see some eyes beginning to stare back at me, so maybe you have a couple things down. And ooh, thanks for, Scott says backwater oyster bar. I'd love to read more little snippets as we write. Okay, so you've written down 3 images associated with the preparation. And now I'd like 3 images associated with the journey. And if you have people to write about, that's going to come later. So refrain from writing about people, but think about maybe the landscape, other sort of physical details. And remember, we're looking for movement, sight, sound, taste, touch, smell, all that good stuff. So 3 images associated with taking the journey. So this gets a little bit more specific. I don't know what's wrong with me, but I don't remember where I went, where I was, but I always remember what I ate. I don't know why. Maybe I'm the only one. Maybe food's just like super important to me, or I don't know.
I would like you to pick either taste or smell and kind of hone in on that for a moment and see if you can't come up with 3, but even just 1 is okay. Something that you tasted or you smelled, the more specific, the better. Cosmic brownie is either very memorable or maybe not so memorable, depending. Salty, greasy, hot New York pizza, gas station Cheez-Its, awesome. Okay, so here's the people part. So 3 images associated either with like one person, if you know, if this was a journey with one person, or the people in your group, or if you took it alone. You know, 3 images associated with people, however you want to do that. Again, thinking, you know, we're not doing ideas, we're just doing sensory info. Ooh, the smell of stone streets, that's awesome. Okay, cool. So, so we're starting to have, like, I'm sure, like, kind of, I mean, I know from the chat, like a super rich environment. Mothball meatloaf, I don't know what that is. I either really want to know or I don't want to know. These are great. So, so now I titled this Creative Wrong Memory. Because memory is weird. You know, I think we tend to think about it as like a book that we take off the shelf and we keep taking off, you know, the same memory. So I wanted us to list now the maybe 3 things that we don't remember and we're still thinking about sensory info. So for example, you know, I don't remember if it was raining. Right. I don't remember if I was wearing my comfortable shoes. Right. So just 3 things that you don't remember. And then we're going to kind of move into the realm of ideas if you're feeling idea deprived. I just had a comment about it being hard to do this because you find yourself editing. And I think we can just acknowledge that because it's true. I have a really hard time not editing, especially in this kind of exercise. Okay, so once you come up with 3 things that you don't remember, I want you to move into the realm of ideas and try to think actually in a pretty broad way. So like, here's kind of a grand one, you know, I don't remember if I was afraid of the world yet. I don't remember if I knew my mother yet, right? I don't remember. So I'd like you to think about maybe 3 things that you don't remember, but move into the realm of ideas. Does that make sense? Okay. Okay, so there are lots of different ways that I could imagine an assignment like this or a writing exercise like this taking shape into something that one might explore a little bit deeper. I could imagine a poem that used a kind of compilation of images, even using
the refrain, I remember, I don't remember, as a kind of litany poem. I think that would be super cool, or at least a really good way to start a poem, you know, whether or not you kept that refrain. So like I could imagine, you know, continuing with this in that way. If you're more of a prosy type of a person, I could imagine using an exercise like this as a way to help us begin to fictionalize something that really happened to us, to make it into, you know, into a story. You know, thinking again back to writing what we know, but also the importance of writing what we don't know. Sometimes with my students, I do an exercise like this and focus on a prose version of this and have my students write me a couple pages about a journey, and they have to convey it as if everything in it really happened, even though they're making up some of the details. So I could imagine different ways of going with something like this. I wanted to go back to some poems that I thought about for this exercise. And this one is a poem by Bob Hickok, and it's called Go Greyhound, and it's also on the list that I think Haley provided somewhere in a link magically. And then I know that we've had some great movement in the chat, but if anybody wants to read some of what they wrote, that would be, I know that'd be really fun for me. I don't know if it'd be fun for y'all or not. But so I'm gonna read Go Greyhound, and it's a little bit longer than the first poem. But as I read, you know, think about those images that come up that are especially tactile, and this poem is awesome. It's full of them. So this is Go Greyhound. A few hours after Des Moines, the toilet overflowed. This wasn't the adventure it sounds. I sat with a man whose tattoos weighed more than I did. He played Hendrix on mouth guitar. His electric Ladyland lips weren't fast enough, and if pitch and melody are the rudiments of music, this was just memory, a body nostalgic for the touch of adored sound. Hope's a smaller thing on a bus. You hope a forgotten smoke consorts with lint in the pocket of last resort to be upwind of the human condition, that the baby sleeps, and when this never happens, that she cries with the lullaby meter of the sea. We were swallowed by rhythm, the ultra blonde who removed her wig and applied fresh loops of duct tape to her skull, her companion who held a mirror and popped his dentures in and out of place, the boy who cut stuffing from the seat where his mother should have been. There was a little more sleep in our thoughts. It was easier to yield. To what exactly? The suspicion that what we watch watches back, cornfields that stare at our hands, downtowns that hold us in their windows through the night, or faith, strange to feel in that zoo of manners. I had drool on my shirt and breath of the undead. A guy dropped empty buds on the floor, like gravity was born to provide this service. We were white and black trash who'd come in an outhouse on wheels, and still some had grown in touching the spirited shirts on clotheslines after watching a sky of starlings flow like cursive over wheat, back into creatures capable of a wish. As we entered Arizona, I thought I smelled the ocean, liked the lie of this, and closed my eyes as shadows puppeted against my lids. We brought our failures with us, their taste, their smell. But the kid who threw up in the back pushed to the window anyway, opened it, and let the wind clean his face, screamed something I couldn't make out, but agreed with, in shape, a sound I recognized as everything I'd come so far to give away. That is a poem, is it not, my friends? Yeah, that is a poem. There's so much I love about that poem, and I think you really need to look at it. But yeah, I actually feel just kind of speechless actually now. I had the intense jealousy while I was reading it of wishing that I had written it or could write anything like that ever. I don't know if that ever happens to you. It's that editor ruining things again. Would anybody be willing to maybe come out of mute and just like maybe share a couple of things that they wrote about? That would be awesome. And I'm just on my phone, so I don't know if I can control that, but I bet Haley could help me do it. Okay.
We're good to go, guys. You can unmute yourselves.
It's easier in chat, I know, but it'd be fun to hear some voices.
Right. I know Scott's got something for me, don't you?
We can always count on Scott.
I know, right? I just called him out. All right. Wait, there you go. Go for it.
Y'all did call me out.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I know. Mothball meatball. What is it? Mothball meatloaf? I don't even remember what it was.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what it was.
All right. So I'm gonna read these notes as if the notes themselves were the poem.
Perfect.
Portland Airport carpet. 90s purple and teal geometric stitching. Buying a ski jacket, red and black, block at Dillard's. Trudging through Tolkien's Silmarillion on Delta Airlines. Hoarding sips of ginger ale, Canada Dry on a flimsy seat back table. My green Game Boy, the library borrowed Yu-Gi-Oh! The Odyssey to Crater Lake, where I wouldn't look up from that damn Game Boy that was originally got from my brother, but then handed off to me. A litany of, I could have had that. I could have had the Game Boy Color, but I got the green one that's black and white. Stale airport peanut air. Mothball meatloaf. Corvallis. Portland. Airport again. Home.
Awesome. Awesome, Scott. I love it. The Game Boy Color? What's the Game Boy Color?
It was the one that came out after like the first one, or maybe it was the third version, but I remember it was purple, and the games you could play them in color instead of the black and white games, which was the previous iteration of the Game Boy.
Mm-hmm.
There still was no light, so you couldn't play the thing in the dark.
Yeah, that was the Game Boy Advance.
That was awesome. Thanks for sharing that, Scott. And I love, there are no ideas there, right? Like we get our feelings from your awesome images. Peanut Air, was that one of them? Stale? Yeah, totally. That was great. Thank you. Kristen, I see you. We're back in class, I feel like.
I can't follow that up.
Yeah, it's kind of not fair, but Do you want to just say anything about what you did?
Sure.
Okay. Being a good sport.
I started kind of getting into my own head, so I only did about the first fourth of it, and then just took notes on other things that make no sense.
Yeah.
But I had pink dress, Montgomery Oyster Backwater Bar, Broadway traffic jam, New York skyline, Woodstock fields.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Awesome. I love that. The oyster bar.
Yeah.
What was it? Yeah.
The where? What? Sorry.
No, just could you read me one more time?
Yeah. Pink dress, Montgomery Backwater Oyster Bar.
Yes. What a weird combo. I love it. Thank you guys.
Yeah.
Anybody else want to just like list off some stuff? It doesn't have to be a formed poem like Scott's was. Anybody else? It's fun to
I'll
hear.
play.
Yay, thank you.
Since my two favorites just went, I feel like I'm back in class with them. Scuba, Mississippi, ditch lilies and cowpucks, 8-track clunking to plants mealy howl, 90-weight gear oil, sawdust confetti, cow shit poem of gas station gizzards. I don't recall if I'd read Genesis.
Yes. Adam, that was awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I love how Adam decided in the last bit of his poem, the thing that he decided not to remember, we hear that and then we'll go back to the beginning with that in mind, the sort of larger idea, Genesis. Great, thanks. Anybody else that we have time for just like a couple more?
Okay, I'm gonna go. I'm nervous, but I'm gonna do it.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay. Old pink suitcase from my childhood, $200 in hand, too many clothes for my own damn good. Endless worn gray pavement, giant slow turning windmills, lots of nothingness. Greasy fried chicken, gas station Cheez-Its, and coffee filling me from head to toe. I don't remember how I felt about myself, and I don't remember if I enjoyed my time or simply put a pretty veil on a new experience.
Man, that last observation is so spot on. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing. And also, they're not just any Cheez-Its. No, they're gas station Cheez-Its. The wrapper might smell of fried chicken or hot dogs from the gas station. There's so much info. Think about Cheez-Its versus gas station Cheez-Its and how much more of a sense of place we have with that observation. I'm glad you shared even though you felt nervous. Thank you. One more. Anybody else?
Hey, I can read a couple.
Yay, thank you.
Yeah. So sporadic trip to Chattanooga, throwing up in the bushes outside the art museum, loose keys and fur pockets, buildings against an open gray sky, the miles-long trail of skunk mixed with gasoline, mixed with weed, the arm gestures of the babysitter of the sturgeon tank at the aquarium. I don't remember which anniversary it was.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Oh man. Just like Adam's, I love, how that last, I don't remember, we go back to the poem thinking about anniversaries and, so often when we think of imagery, we think of visual stuff, right? We're visual creatures, but the smell of what? Gasoline, skunk, and weed, is that all swirling around? I mean, like that is specific and I get all of it. That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
So that's all I have. But I thought I'm going to stick around in case anybody just wants to chat. And what I hope is that you're leaving this little session, with some images to start something new, and that you've had a chance to escape for an hour almost into memory and think about travel. The links that Haley has up, there's some really great poems there. And so I hope you take the opportunity to read them. And I just want to thank you all again for coming, and thanks to Haley. And yeah, I'll stick around in case anybody wants to chat.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. So thanks to all of you guys for being here. Really appreciate you participating. Tomorrow night at 7 p.m. we have Walking and Writing to Heal with Ceylon Green. So that's going to be pretty awesome. You'll use your same Zoom link that you used for this event, for that event. And yeah, so for those of you that want to go ahead and head on out, thanks for being here, guys. I'll see you guys later. And if you want to stick around to chat with Lauren, you are more than welcome to. So,
Haley.